Welcome back and good morning again to you, Grenada, Carriacou, PD, Martinique, and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. It is 11 o'clock in the studios of Classic and, of course, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. And indeed, I want to say thanks for being here with you. Your boy JC here. And welcome back to our viewers on television and those of you that's on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and those of you following us on the World Wide Web at www.gbn.gd. I did say to you, I had the great man, the doctor, the lieutenant general, I don't know, the cultural ambassador, the farmer, depends on what time and place. Then he goes by a different title, but he's no stranger to any one of us. Hi, Cameron Livingston, how are you, man?
I'm pretty good, and I'm just saying good morning to all your listeners, and thank you for having me and GBN for having me here this morning.
It's always a pleasure. In the college, just on the days away, Livingston?
Days away. Actually, I was in SAS Sports 2 days ago, Wednesday, and of course we were reminiscing about the good old days at Queen's Park, as you said.
I know. I hear folks that talk about Intercall, and then while for each generation Intercall is special, I think nothing beats those Queen's Park days.
Well, I'm getting that all the time from my colleagues, B.D. Jeffrey, and then from old time GBSS, Kenneth Alexander, right. Or when we meet the SAS guys, we talk about the good old days, because it was a good time for us to really come in St. George's and make sure we give GBSS guys like you proper.
Listen. I know you want me in a good frame of mind for the interview, right? Don't rub me the wrong way. But what was good though, Livingston, that it was the rivalry. But while in the midst of the rivalry, we understood that the rivalry took place on the track. But off the track, most guys still remain friends. Though, it's a friendship, the camaraderie, it actually remained.
In early days, we were very polarized. It was a country and tongue. It was a SAS and GBSS. But when I later on, you meet Jericho and you meet Jeffrey Neptune, the right. Kenneth Alexander, and then you recognize that these guys are actually decent, well-cultured, well-mannered young men that have the same aspiration as we that in SAS. And so, the respect I have for those guys that I competed with now from GBSS is totally amazing.
But the truth is, back then,
no, they were demons.
Believe me, I remember.
They were demons.
I remember only a couple of years ago when during the NDC regime, what's his name from SAS?
Patrick Simmons.
Right, but my good boy.
Yeah.
And I met him in the stadium. Yeah. And I said to him, Mr. Minister, you and I cool, but today, you're taking no prisoners.
Yeah. Good enough. And I know he would laugh at that.
He laughed about that. But today, we 19 boys, we're not taking any prisoners. You know what? Don't talk to me until the next couple of days when this is all over. But I really am happy, honestly, for the students that are able to be part of this.
Almost 3 years.
As we used to refer to it as not just Intercall, but education, as not just Intercall, but all sporting events. He referred to it as education outside of the classroom. And those are things that helps them.
Well, I think that was really life education, because I will tell you, I made a comment on our program, a regular Friday night program, that you actually learn and you develop your character mainly when you lose, not when you win. You imagine 8 persons are actually competing. Now one most likely would win. The 7 persons have to go back and come back. How do you go with the intention that you're going to win, but how do you stand up and you look people in the eyes and say, I've lost, but I am still human, I am still good, I'm still valid. How do you pick up the pieces?
You have to. There should be measurable and some lessons to be learned. I maybe if I take from the GBS school song, where it says, and yet this game itself, to win and be sporting is easy.
Right.
To lose with a smile, it is hard. But yet to the sportsman, really, the game.
He said.
Because while though, whether it's football, athletics, whatever it is, what takes place on the field, it goes beyond winning and losing. Just to have competed in itself is a glory.
It's a glorious thing. It's a glorious
just to be there. Yes. But I'm really happy that the kids, they at least get an opportunity to say, you know what, they at least went to one Intercall, two Intercall.
Yes.
Next week now, so I'm telling you, I will still be watching some other cuts either. But so Intercall always is going to conjure up that kind of spirit and all of that. But the drums as well.
Oh yeah, there were a couple of years when we used to come down with the drums. At that time, I was no longer competing on the field.
Right.
But actually, most of the time, I was actually officiating, and the Tivoli drummers would come and they would walk up a sweat. And I know GBSS guys used to be jealous and they wanted to come, but they couldn't come.
Like police.
But we used to walk up a sweat, and I had the people rocking. Some people don't know what race would be running, but they just jamming with
I think there was just a general party atmosphere.
Yes.
Party atmosphere. I remember there was a year when, because there's the GBSS SAS, but there was your original GBSS PBC rivalry, which a lot of people don't seem to remember.
Yes.
The days of PBC in the 70s. And I remember there was either 4x4 or 4x1, but whatever it was, GBSS didn't qualify for the race. And how it called most time comes down to who wins that final.
The final 4x4. Yeah.
And I remember then when GBSS was literally backing PBC to win, and everybody's like, "What do we do? We can't, because GBSS was a few points ahead. PBC couldn't actually beat us,
right?
Because of the points difference,
right?
But if SAS won, they would have gone ahead and won it by 2 or 3 points. So for us, we had to make sure that SAS didn't win.
It was strategic collaboration.
Yes, so we decided, high school girls,
Yeah.
All bets on PBC. And I remember when we started chanting, there were some schools that started watching, like,
yeah, what's going on?
But that just had its own fun. And I'm really, really happy that after 2 years, the children, they can go back onto the field and really enjoy one day, though.
Yeah.
But they can enjoy.
But that is what it used to be in the early 80s.
It was one
day.
And then they went to 2, and then it got stretched. And in those days, we went even one day we went. For 2 days we went. There was nothing about you going on boys' days and girls. I preferred it when it was mixed.
It's always better when it's mixed because it gives the athlete a better chance to rest. When the event for girls are going on, the boys are not competing. But if it's only a day for boys, it means it's almost like a one-day event, just the same. So it's always better when it's mixed.
And now that when he went to 3, everybody comes on the last day because the first 2 days.
Right.
Black Day, there was a sense of pride.
I think it would be good to keep it 2 as much as possible. We know there are more schools that are participating,
right?
And they also have more participants from the various schools.
Right.
So you have more hits, and so it's dragged on more events.
Well, let's see what turns out. The drums, the horns, the flutes is going to be out at the National Stadium Grenada next week, Thursday. 46 events, one day. And most of the schools, as best we can appreciate, is going to be there. But even before we get to Thursday, Livingston.
Yes.
Even before we get to Thursday.
We're going to have our own major event Sunday. That is April the 3rd. And for that one, you should be in Tivoli.
Tell us why. What's happening?
Well, in the first place, let me put the backdrop. Tivoli is the home of drumming in Grenada. It didn't just start up with the Tivoli drummers. Way before, there were great drummers from Tivoli. But Tivoli drummers are taking drumming to a completely different level.
Okay.
In terms of, we have introduced choreographed drumming, and we have had drummers that were, brought up styles and made their own drums, etc. And that was a new thing in Grenada. And then we took our own drumming, and we went to Goka Festival. We went to Drum Festival in Canada on 2 different occasions. We've been to Cuba, we've been to Guyana,
nice.
We've been to Trinidad. So we took drumming at a completely different level. Only to be told that some drummers from one island, different island, always used to come, videotape our style, and go back in Trinidad and win competition.
Oh, really?
I didn't want to call the island name, I eventually did. But they confessed, so it's okay. So, but drumming bring people together, and we also develop a style of drumming or an interactive kind of session we call drum moonlighting. And drum moonlighting now is stood back. Everything goes.
Right.
So we have the young playing with the old and drummers. So it's more like a freelance, where it is not just we perform for you, but we have a performance and you can fit in any time. And we have found that to be extremely, extremely well received by all walks of life, and everywhere we went, be it local, be it in the hotels, be it overseas. When we do drum lighting, people just have a ball of a time, because you have a chance to sing, you have a chance that where you can sing, you have a chance where you can drum, you have a chance to dance, and this time we're adding a new component. Actually, we have in a component where you can actually come and do a solo, do something on your own. Somebody with any talent can come. Now we have a stage, we have our cultural center, and we have an outside stage, and we are going to be having close to 20 drums and drummers at that event on Sunday, starting at 5 p.m. Tivoli Cultural Center. So you need to come there early. You need to throw away all your troubles, all your problems, and come and dance, come and sing, come and clap, come and be part of the event.
But what I particularly like about that, though, and I know you have to agree, we talk about the fact that you've exported the talent, and we will get into that, but just the whole sense of having the convergence of the varied age groups, young, the old, the able-bodied, the in-between, those who could shake, who want to jiggle. Just having everybody coming together. It helps to bring the community, that sort of community togetherness.
Well, definitely. And actually somebody commented about them, they find in Grenada that the older people tend to dance for themselves and the younger people tend to dance for themselves. With our drumming, and you'll see it even in Carriacou, you'll find that sometimes the older ones dance together with the younger ones, and that is okay. So this sense of generation, the generation gap, you're bridging that the generational gap. That is what we always do. And most likely we might have a contingent, hopefully from groups like Vinue, and we also hoping to have some from Spice Isle dancers. There is Tahira Vivek and them. Celia Griffith with is seeing if she can get a contingent and group of persons to come up. So we are.
But this is good quality stuff.
Well, that is of course, and I must take a boast here, Joseph, that we in Tivoli always believe that this island is too small.
Right.
For us to have drummers in Tivoli that cannot play with Vinue, or Vinue cannot come and join and play with Tivoli and dance with Tivoli. So every now and then, even out of a formal performance, we meet, we cook food, and we just dance. And we did that one time and we brought up people like Miss Gloria Pin Banfield together with Vinue. We had a nice singing Batway, and we entertained Vinue, and they brought us down.
Nice.
And they cook and they entertained us. So that kind of love. We had a similar session with Cecilia Griffith. So we always want to, always available to bridge that kind of gap. Yes, you do your thing, we do your thing, but we could come together because what we all are doing is to promote and to maintain our Grenadian culture.
And it helps to ensure the sustainability of and the growth of the art form.
Yes. Well, that's the only way. That actually is the only way. One, sharing and recognizing where you are and where we are. And I think we have learned from each other. We have actually learned from each other.
40 minutes gone past the hour. It's all happening this Sunday at the Tivoli playing field, is it?
No, the Tivoli Cultural Center. And I'm taking a boast here. We have actually been able to build our own cultural center. Yes. And I checked through all the Windward, and there is no other group that have been able to do that. So we're really pioneering a new stage in preserving, promoting our Grenadian culture. So folks,
you talked about the fact that you have been able to take the talent and the culture outside of Grenada. The one thing about that, it has its own challenges, but what makes it even interestingly easier sell is that the sound of the drum, it is the one instrument that is probably almost unique in some ways and it's cross-cultural.
It's cross-cultural, although every culture, every island has their own distinct drum song.
But when you go and you see a guy on a drum, naturally you can connect with it.
Well, you know, as you see, that is quite interesting because I went to Guadeloupe and I was able to, I mean, I don't speak the Creole French. I was able to sit behind a drum and play, and they were wondering. It's like I had to be from Guadeloupe because that style was so unique, but it was so similar to our drumming. It was totally amazing. That's the only place I've been able to do that. Like, I mean, I'm talking about the distance and things. You heard similar drumming like in Union Island or Carriacou. Of course, I played in Carriacou. But I am just saying, it shows how our cultural, the extension, the preservation of what we inherited is still remain partly intact to a certain degree.
And I'm happy that you said it because I wanted us to take us to that point. As you know, that which we've inherited from our forefathers, and slavery, no doubt. Has played that part because it is a one common thread. It was one of the common threads that we all share across this diverse universe.
But which is what is really amazing, during slavery we were not allowed to play drums.
Because and tell us why exactly. When you told us of the drums,
we were not able to play the drums. So there are two things. So you're being a slave master. You don't want these people to play and to communicate in a way to remind them of the culture and the distinction, the fact that they are different. So you want them to accept that what they are is inferior. And so all form of entertainment, music, dance, mode of dress, our names were changed because we had to give up or we had to forgo our true self. So it was banned for that. Apart from that, we had drums like what you call the talking drums that actually communicate across lines. So, you know, I mean, remember, Toussaint were using the culture, the voodoo to invoke that sense of pride, and that is what get everybody to mobilize, to get excited, to start to preserve what they had. So the colonial masters, our slave masters, did not want that. So the drum had to be banned. And even after slavery, colonialism, and as I said to some of your colleagues here, the drum, I think you couldn't play drum in the open air. It was against the law to be playing drums. Even in recent times, it was against the law. And
we even go back as far as recent as, let's say, with the introduction of steel pan, where steel pan was seen. That was the rogues and the vagabonds.
It was the domain.
The ghetto boys that involved in that. But it's interesting that it doesn't matter who we are. Strip us of our cultural differences, religious differences. When we hear the drums, something happens.
To us, you feel it deeper than probably any other instrument. I know for me.
Even if you try to
remain religiously calm.
Yeah, but somewhere in the inside, you're holding on to the podium, you're holding on to the rock.
Yeah.
But yet on the inside,
you want to rock. You want to rock. Yes.
Something about it, even though you're not even thinking about dancing, but you hear the drums, you hear the rhythm, you hear the vibration. There's an energy that goes with it.
There is an energy, and it really hits you, to me, deeper than any instrument. I mean, yes, music gets you irrespective of, but the drumming, to me, it goes deeper, and that is why some people actually hearing the drum can go through a trance. It is that powerful. Well, it is that powerful.
Well, you have to agree, which is a different but quite an intriguing conversation, because even in the very Bible, the Bible tells us when King Saul, when he was angry, he was upset. Well, what did he do? He called for the Sabbath for David. And when David came, and the music. So music has a way, it has an innate way of connecting with us. Wherever we are, if you're sad, music gets you sad, it gets you angry.
Yes.
It's a mix of emotions.
Yes. It can bring out any different kind of emotion in you.
The best
based
of the
on,
worst.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I listen to you listen to some religious hymn, and it really really get you solemn.
Yes,
really, really solemn and
you think of your
sad.
life.
Yeah, I listened to one. They did this one. I think the name is Umzibwe or so, a song they did, or Sizwe, they did from Lucky Dube. And it just make you feel so mellow, so sad, you know? And then there's some music that just make you feel like you're on top of the world, so happy.
And just, you know, while we talk about the music, we could always just segue that we look at the influence that music Livingston has had over the years and how it has transformed in very ways our cultural landscape. And our young people, their way they react, they respond. We came from an era we grew up, and it's interesting because growing up, if you grew up from the 70s, 80s, in that period, and those days when reggae and dancehall were coming on, they had some guys, I don't know how they were able to do verbatim on all of these reggae songs, but a lot of the music, there is sometimes the violence, the vulgarity, and everything else that's in it. It has just come out. It has come to be part of who our young people are.
Well, you know, the reggae music in the 70s and 80s actually was. It is the first time a complete philosophy and way of life was put in and presented. Yeah, so a whole philosophy was presented through music, not through books. That's the first time in our history that has been done. Later on, there was a need for those in authority to see the need to destroy that.
Right.
And so you get some of the music now about, I mean, just if you listen to some of our music now, all you're hearing is about sex and violence and about, you know, you hear some of the rap music. There was a conscious, it is not deliberate, and we as a people are so vulnerable, but there was a conscious effort to make sure that they destroy that positive message of unification. When you hear Bob Marley, you don't want to fight with your brother. You want to work together with your brother to build something, to fight against oppression. When you hear the Peter Tosh and the Bunny, you want to fight against the system, or even the Bunny Spee or the Lucky Dube. And then they brought in the Shabba and some of those guys that actually start thinking about other forms of expression. And that was not accidental. That was definitely not accidental. But I need to say what you are going to get without words, and sometimes there are words but without words, on Sunday the 3rd of April.
It's an experience that everybody should want to be part of. Is there a cost to get into?
There is no cost. There is no cost. For matter of fact, we a limited number of food for people if you come and you're hungry. I mean, some of the groups that come out in town, definitely we're going to take care of you. But if you come and, you know, they're most likely there are going to be food. And again, it is our first effort after COVID. So the food we give in Salaka style, no cost. But we expect you, if you can make a contribution, because we want to do that on a monthly basis. We need to sustain our culture, and that is our way of getting back to sustain our culture. But you want to feel that sense of community. You want to meet friends. You want to, really relax and get rid of some of, the stress and the pressures from society and COVID and everything. Come to Tivoli. Come to a free therapeutic session.
How supportive has corporate Grenada been to your cause?
The truth be told, they have not generally been, but I must point out places like Cooperative Bank has been extremely supported over the years, but by and large, Tivoli Drummers, with all that we have done, we have never had a sponsor. We have never had a corporate citizen saying we're going to sponsor. Tivoli Drummers have always had to struggle for a ticket, for a costume, our little things that we did, we have to save in order to save. We have never had a sponsor. This time I really wish that the thing changed. We have not targeted them this time. We targeted small persons, big persons that contribute $100, $150 just for the food, etc. Because that is what we, all the drummers coming together would be coming is not a cost at all. But hopefully the next level
I think it's important. The next thing we might be, is it the first time you're having this? You having this?
We used to do drum moonlighting. I think I sent you something on YouTube to show you that we have been doing drum moonlighting and people come and participate before. But it's the first time since COVID that we are actually getting back into this one, and I can see that this one we're getting into it in a bigger way than ever.
Drum moonlighting, it takes place this Sunday inside of the Tivoli Community Center.
Tivoli Cultural
Center. Sorry, a cultural center that's built
by the Tivoli Drummers.
I think, your commendation must be given, because you would expect it would be a grouping that has some financial backing by some private entity. But this is just folks that has a love and a passion
for drum. And one of our main sponsor, Cleveland. There is this guy based in England. He has been a tremendous help for us. Cleveland, he actually helped, probably contributed close to half of the funds to build that cultural center.
That's good. It's always sure. There's always people in the midst of everything. You can always find individuals out there, Livingston, who certainly their heart is in the right place.
Yes.
Indeed, their heart is in the right place. 25 minutes gone past the hour, reminding you folks a place to be. And I guess you want to make it an appeal that they come from near and far?
No, Grenada is actually close. Where's the furthest point from Tivoli? I can't say. Maybe on the western side, based on how the network of road is.
Thinking about it in truth.
Yeah, maybe.
Such as?
No, Sotes is actually like 10 minutes away. St. George lands up in maybe the furthest point.
But I'm saying it's almost probably
an hour. If you drive slow, it's an hour and a half. Yeah, you get there. Yeah, but again, as I say, it's actually going to be a free therapeutic session. So you need to be there. You need to be there to meet quality persons. And all the activities we have had in drum moonlighting, no matter what, we started our program, experimented with June Ivan when there was no electricity. Everywhere we went, Joseph, there was just a pouring of love from people that came in to just embrace and to be participate. Never one time a bottle pelted, a stone, somebody get a bus head, not even a mash too.
I would allow the drums uninhibited on Sunday. But come Thursday. Come Thursday, the drums will only be ringing in one part of Grenada. It will be we the boys have time. I just remember back in those days as we wrapped though. And again, remind you folks, it's happening this week. This Sunday, not this week. Until you're thinking weekend, it's literally because today's already Friday. So Sunday, drum moonlighted, another event put on by the Tivoli Drummers. I certainly you do not want to miss it. Remember in GBSS. Once GBSS sports was over, the school, so you had all the houses you competed. But once sports is over, automatically, the focus shifted. The school united, and it was all about. We used to sit in class, we're making up chants. And listen, and we coming down, when we hit.
I think it's the same thing with us. We competed fiercely for our various houses.
But once that was over,
and that is over, is intercall.
We realized
we're coming down for GBSS.
In all my years, what was one of the sweetest occasions I had for Intercall, honestly, when you used to come down for us, because you always had the opportunity to come down.
Yeah.
Was when we had it in, they had the Progress Park.
Yeah, you all got it better of us.
Boy.
Yeah, you all got it better of us. Yeah. Rub it in.
I mean.
Yeah, that's what's sweeter for you.
Where is Gerard?
Yeah.
Oh, the spirit and the joy of Intercall. I'm really happy, folks. It is back. It is really, really back. And I'm happy that they're really, truly happy for these young people. At least they could say, there's someone actually who probably may have finished their last year of school, 2 years. Yeah,
well, actually, or 3 years. 3 years we taught Intercall.
And say that there's no Intercall.
Yeah,
and so the only time you really enjoy Intercall is when you get to 4th and 5th form. Because when you're in Form 1, you just try to
fit in.
To fit in. And when you go through the cycle and you realize, okay, I'm a science boy.
Yeah.
I'm a McDonald College boy now.
Yes.
And if I got to my identity, then you realize your last 2 years, you've missed it.
But just speaking on intercollege, you recognize that there has been a real nice movement for not decentralization like PBC versus GBSS, and then later on SARS versus GBSS, and then McDonald College versus GBSS and SARS.
Yes.
Now you recognize that there has been a real growth,
There's been a shift.
a shift. If you look at Hillsborough and Bishop College,
Listen.
and really, I mean, I'm a SARS boy, but I really want one of those schools in Carriacou to win intercall one day. Kayak, I am with you. I want Hillsborough or Bishop College to take intercall. And you know, there was one year they came third. One of them came, I don't know the exact. One of them came third in the boys, and one of them came third in the girls. And they've been really moving up. And so, anybody from Carriacou, let the whole
My good boy, Roll Patterson.
I'll let them know that I am supporting any school, Hillsborough or Bishop College, to take intercall Thursday or anytime thereafter.
I should put it this way: whichever school wins, I will always support GBSS. But I agree.
Yeah.
It would just be good to know that, because ultimately you've seen the growth in athletics.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've had in recent years, when I say recent, for example, the year that West Hall.
Yeah, that was.
You know, I really felt good that it was as a young school, they were able to represent, and they represented well. So no longer was intercall between just the
small core group,
the St. David's Catholic Secondary, but at least it's expanded, and I think it shows the growth of athletics and a lot of the clubs, the
club system
that has this integrated training that allows the children from the students from different schools. You know, it doesn't matter where you are, you belong to Trailblazers, or you really belong to what's his name, Maxwell, and you're allowed for that. And I mean, it all speaks well and augurs well for athletics. But I say to you,
you can't let go of your GBSS, man. You can't let it go, Joseph. Let it go.
You can't. And it's interesting when we had a conversation. You know, you look back, and when we were at school, Livingston, and you watch how the school system has evolved, and a lot of the values, things we hold sacred, and you notice that school. But I say to people though, what's happening in the school system is a reflection of greater society. It is a reflection, and it's really heartbreaking.
You know, I come to the conclusion though that all or most emphasis should be placed on empowering the schools to breed and to grow better children, because it's only through the schools. I mean, you look at some of the parents these days, they're totally without any clue as how they should deal with children.
I agree.
And it is the school that becomes the molding block, the area to.
It was your second home. It was your second home.
It has actually become almost like the first home. I mean, I see children these days telling the parents, talking about 3 and 4 year old, "Mommy, buy that. Mommy, I don't want this. Mommy, buy that." And the parents, and they're complaining, and they have to buy it. I mean, children these days are actually ruling the parents. I see children. I don't know if you saw a video where like one kick, not in Grenada, but they kick their grandmother. But I'm hearing children here telling the grandparents, "Shut up," and those kind of things. If they don't get that molding and that discipline in the school, society would be in a terrible state, as it, you know. So I think we have to empower the schools. We have to allow, the teachers to actually do the job, and empower them in as much ways as possible to take the children on field trip without having to write to the ministry. Take them to experience activities within the community and those kind of things, but give the school the right to help to bring up, you know, and recruit teachers and with character and quality. But we are in a sad state if we don't do that, because the schools play such a major role. I mean, you're talking about your GBSS, and I've heard many students that go to GBSS talk about the school. Is it the motto? of the school. You whole saying about the games, etc.
No reward without labor.
Yeah. And I mean the pride that those children that went to GBSS, how they speak, and we in SAS we talk a lot, particularly children in my time, about Cressy and the influence of Cressy, how he mold, how he discipline us in his ways, and to us that remain with us, and it has a strong imprint as much as
True.
What our parents gave to us.
Indeed. I was saying Janelle, I was saying the other day that there are things and values that you were taught at school, and as a child, when you had those initial encounters with Mr. Ashby in those days, initially you were like, okay. And I remember for him, when you were in Form 1 to Form 2, 3, it was to get you to understand and appreciate where you are. You're here to learn. But when you got to 4th and 5th Form, he had respect for you, and he expected you to understand your focus and your reason. And there's some things I still don't do. For example, Livingston, I will not walk the road and eat.
Right.
Because I was told you can't dare. How could you disrespect the badge and the tie? You're a GBSS boy. You're a SAS boy.
Yeah.
You're an Anglican high school girl. You're a convent girl. You don't. If you're in the street, you don't ask for a ride. I had a club before we wrapped. I had a telling one that we'll never forget. It was on a public holiday. We were having extra classes with Mr. Ashby, and he passed us. It started to drizzle, and he passed us in the Lagoon Road. So you're thinking, in those days he had a piece of the red charade. Good morning, Mr. Ashby, wherever you are. And you're thinking your senior principal come in. It's a public holiday. He knows we have English class with him.
Right.
So we saw Mr. Ashby, so we flogged at Mr. Ashby. Livingston, joke boy. Ashby, keep your head straight. Until you drive to GBSS. We got to GBSS, and then Mr. Ashby, with a cynical look in his face, says, you boys seem to be a bit sprinkled from the weather. And he said to us, he says, listen, it's a public holiday. You ain't put no vehicle on the road. What you stopping vehicle for? He says, make an effort to go where your destination. If somebody see you making an effort, they would quicker feel sorry for you than some people sitting by the side of the road and when they see a vehicle coming, jumping off. Listen, and those are some values, and those are the values that we grew up on.
Right.
We grew up on Livingston.
Right.
And I know not just across a lot of the secondary schools.
Of course.
Or you go back to the days of Shaper. You don't hear much about Shaper these days. But in the early days of Shaper,
George.
There was a pride of being a Shaper boy, a Shaper boy, or a Shaper girl. Across all the schools, McDonald College, all the different schools. But we have to do what we have to do, though. But the focus is going to be on the drums this Sunday. The focus is going to be on the drums. Starts at 5 o'clock.
5, yes.
Starts at
Sunday.
5,
yes.
Starts at 5 at Sunday. Drum moonlighting starts at 5, and we call is the clarion call. Yay! We call it from near and far. Wherever you are, from near and far, be there. Also reminding you, happening on Sunday this week, girl. It's Montgomery's breakfast.
Okay. They started again.
This weekend, it is back. We get it back to that sense of normalcy, Livingston, and that is really, really, really good. So the plan is for Sunday. Saturday, you do all your laundry. You do all the
Yeah.
Wake up early Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And you go to breakfast.
Right.
You go home. If you have to go to church, go to church. Get something to eat early. As a matter of fact, whatever you take something extra up in when you go to Montgomery's breakfast.
Right.
Because let's say 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Around those times, we getting ready to head out because everybody heading up to Tivoli.
Yeah, man, Tivoli.
That's the place to be. Drum moonlighting, folks. You don't want to miss it. It's the return, and certainly you can well appreciate it's going to be exciting. The drums is going to speak to you, minister to your spirit. Yeah,
right.
Take you to a different place. To our listeners and on our viewers, wherever you are, we say thanks for being part of this broadcast. We're getting ready. We're looking at the time, 22 minutes on to the hour of 12 o'clock. For those of you that's on television, we send you back to studio control for your regular programming. For those of you in radio, the journey continues up until 12. The Luncheon Edition, a production for News and Current Affairs Department. From all of us here at the GBN, so long, have a really, really, really great weekend. From Livingston, and the rest of the Tivoli drama, as you said, the place to be this weekend. This Sunday actually is inside of Tivoli in the Cultural Center.
Yes,
so long,
man.
everybody. Have a great one.
All right, well, thank you, and thank you to all the listeners. Hopefully I see you there. Thanks, Joseph, for having me.
Never a pleasure,
All right,
comrade.
great. All right.